Yeah, I'm on a rampage against hustle culture right now because I don't think the thing is, about 10 years ago, people hustling looked very different from what it looks like now. I don't think human beings were machines built to be working 16 hours a day just to put food on the table. I don't think a world that demands that of a human being is a fair world. And I don't think we were designed for that to start with. We were designed to live and not live to work, right? And what is living? Living is being able to spend time with your family, your friends, being able to rest, and not having to think about, oh, I've not been productive today. I've not done X, Y number of things today. I have like a real a gripe which I'm going through right now. I think it's like one of the things which I have to go through to get to the other side. But I think a world that pushes that is also a very ableist world, because it doesn't consider that what human beings do is we're not young forever, or also, God forbid, something happens or you're born with a disability. I struggle with scoliosis and chronic pain. If your world doesn't make allowances for that, what kind of world have you built? Which is my question to society. And I think interrogating that within yourself and not constantly feeling like people are judging you, which is really hard to do, especially in the world of social media. Those are the two biggest things I would say for someone who's kind of looking to find their own voice. The story that you are most scared of telling, and the story that makes you the most uncomfortable and vulnerable, that's usually the story you need to tell the most. That is the voice that needs to be heard the most. And I usually say to people who are scared, especially of whether their voice would be accepted or not, that even if it changes one life or one person hears it and is different after that, you've done your job as a writer, as an artist. You've done your job. That was what you were supposed to do with that piece of work. So you're not creating, for maybe thousands of people or millions of people. You're creating for one person, yourself, and that one person who needs to hear that story or voice. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think finding your voice is so much linked to empowerment and feeling that sense of worth. And I think that's something, like we say with social media, that so many young people are struggling with. And I'm really glad to have people like you on the internet, because opening up to that vulnerability is so important. And you see the other side, where when people feel that weakness, which is in all of us, they really drive to get rid of that and they seek power. And that's why you have these like hyper masculine sort of Andrew Tate figures on the internet, who people feeling not empowered try and find all the power that they can. And I think that's a much more toxic way to deal with it. I mean, obviously, but it's just an interesting contrast to draw.
I think it's very interesting. I'm very annoyed at the existence of someone like Andrew Tate, but I think to be able to really understand him, you kind of have to come to the point where you understand that the world runs on archetypes. And what he's done is he's developed himself into this archetype of someone that young boys especially should look up to. And it's all marketing. It's all based in marketing. And if you're able to crush that and kind of understand why he's become so successful, which a lot of teachers are doing now, which a lot of like parents are doing, you're able to defeat that very strong narrative, which has helped someone like that go mainstream. But it requires a lot of critical thinking, which right now I feel like, especially with like the Twitter or X as it's called or whatever, it's become in very short supply. Both nuance and critical thinking are so important when it comes to stuff like this. So, yeah.
Thank you. It's super interesting what you say about archetypes. I agree with that so much. And I think a lot of your work, what I've seen in your writing, is trying to create a better positive feminine archetype, which is the other side. And how do you go about trying to do that? I know you use mythology and all that kind of thing, but I find that super interesting that you're kind of tapping into this thing which people are supposed to aim at and making that aim, much more fulfilling and something that really empowers people.
I think A lot of my work comes from writing to a younger version of myself whilst I was growing up in India and I was facing a lot of misogyny. So, what can I do to empower that girl, right? And there are a lot of young women who are in that position today who respond to the work that I'm writing towards that younger version of myself. So, in a nutshell, that's where the work comes from. And that's why I think a lot of people respond to it, because how would you talk to the younger version of yourself, right? Um, and that's, I think, with my YA poetry collection, it kind of came from that space as well. Like an auntie or a big sister kind of giving you the advice that she wished she had had growing up. But like not in the patronizing voice, more in the, I understand and you are valid, and here are the tools that you need to be able to navigate this. So yeah, that's in a nutshell, that's what that is.